Since it's Flag Day, I've been doing some self-reflecting, looking around at the flags, and I've got a little flag on my wall that's this little tiny pocket flag, and it's all ragged and torn and discolored, and it kind of reminded me of what that little guy had been through. And it was a little pocket flag that was given to us back in, I think, the late 90s. I just kept this thing everywhere I went, in my pocket, in my plate carrier, my helmet, in my chest rigs, and so it's been on every conflict that I've been on, every deployment that I've been on since Bosnia and Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and everywhere in between. And it got beat down pretty good. And I love, thinking about where that little guy has been, and that's why I decided to kind of retire it on my wall. It's just kind of a story piece to remind me of what that flag's been through. And in that remembrance, I remembered a song that Johnny Cash had sang, and it's called Ragged Old Flag. And if you haven't heard Johnny Cash's Ragged Old Flag, it's an amazing song, and it'll hit you right in the feels. At least it should. If it doesn't, I think there's something wrong there. So I want to share a lot of things with you in this video, but first I thought I'd let you hear Ragged Old Flag by Johnny Cash.
Ragged Old Flag. I walked through a county courthouse square, and on a park bench an old man was sitting there. I said, "Your old courthouse is kind of run down." He said, "No, that'll do for our little town." I said, "Your old flagpole's kind of leaned a little bit, and that's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it." He said, "Have a seat," and I sat down. "Is this the first time you've come to our little town?" I said, "I think it is." He said, "I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag. You see, we got a little hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware. And it got powder burned the night Francis Scott Key sat up watching it writing, Say Can You See? Got a little rip in New Orleans with Pakenham and Jackson tugging at its seams. It almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on, though. It got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. Got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she took a bad hit from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low by the time that one was through. She was in Korea, Vietnam. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. The Native American Indians, the blacks, the yellow, the white, all shed red blood for the stars and stripes. And in her own good land here, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, refused, and the very government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. And she's getting threadbare. She's wearing kind of thin. But she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning, and we bring her down slowly every night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her upright. On second thought, I guess I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag.
That song never gets old. And I think if Johnny was still alive to this day, he'd probably realize there's a pretty big gap that needs to be filled from Vietnam on. And so we thought we'd take a stab at doing a continued version of Ragged Old Flag. So here it goes. I went back to that county courthouse square, and I'll be damned, that old ragged flag was still flying there. Although upside down, which is a horrible sight, I figured I'd bring her down and send her back upright. I took a step back and looked proudly to the sky and said, that's how an old flag should fly. Though its colors were frayed and gray, and it certainly lost its sheen, I couldn't help to think about all the battles it had seen. Like when it got torn on the coral reefs of Grenada on Reagan's bold command. Our soldiers fought through fire and blood to protect that little piece of land. Through Panama's thick jungles, where Noriega made a stand, Bush sent that flag ahead with might for just cause in that land. It got a little scorched in the Gulf where oil fires lit the night. Our troops stood firm in combat against Saddam's frightful might. Through the streets of Mogadishu with an RPG round, she got a big old tear when Super 6-4 went down. She had a front row seat to ethnic cleansing in Bosnia. She came home with a stain, but still flew high to symbolize our stand against that shame. In the harsh mountains of Afghanistan, where terror tried to hide, that flag was sent to confront it with little resolve, but fearless pride. From Fallujah's fiery streets to Baghdad's deadly fight, that flag endured through every clash in the battle for what we thought was right. Yeah, she's seen the fierce battles and faced the darkest nights of war, but that ragged old flag still stands for freedom stronger than ever before. So as I stand here reflecting, almost in dismay, I'm still proud as hell that old ragged flag flies still to this day. And we yearn for peace and quiet, and for battles to be done. But if that drum of wars resound, our people will not run. With fearless faith and spirit, we face what is to be. And no matter what will happen, we always have and always will vow to die free. You know, I really hesitated doing a second version of that song, but I figured, you know, with Johnny Cash's song maybe a little bit dated, and some people in today's world can't appreciate that. I figured, you know, there's a lot of guys and gals out there that have put foot to ass for their country and do care about that flag still to this day, and would appreciate that. So I hope you all did appreciate it, and I hope maybe someday that in 50, 100 years from now, because you know what's going to happen. You know, war's not just going to stop. It never does, it never has, and it never will. And there'll always be a necessity for good men and women to stand up and fight for that flag and fight for what it stands for, more importantly, and understand where it's been and where it is currently right now, whether you like it or not, and have faith in it and have pride in it of where it is going in the future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. One more thing I want to share with you is the very thing that was shared with me many, many years ago, and that is the pocket flag. So whether you come to our website, whether you come to our headquarters here in Scottsdale, Arizona, or whether you see us out on the road in a training course, you're going to get one of these pocket flags. Now you can do what you want with it. You can give it to somebody else if you'd like. You can fold it up and put it in your rucksack, your helmet, put it in your chest rigs or plate carriers or wherever you feel. Maybe carry it every day in your pocket. And share that with others. Tell those stories. Take it on a journey. And so one day, many years from now, you might have your own ragged old flag. But in the meantime, let those flags fly free. Just as I know that you'll die free.